Oh, yeah, I'm starting. I'm like just sitting here like looking at the screen. Hilary just like smacks me on the knee. It's like, yeah, you're on air. All right. Hello, and welcome to episode 124 of Rhythm Encounter, the RPG Fan Music Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Salbato, and today we are going to be farming. Or at least we're talking about farming music. So I'm going to do my best to not make any horrible jokes about shovels or hoes or any other farming tools. Why are you rolling your eyes at me?
Too late.
Oh, okay. Someone's rolling their eyes at me, so it's too late. Well, see, now it's out of the way. All right. Anyway, so we have three of us are here today to talk about many farming games and their music. So with me is Hilary.
Yeah!
Thank you. And the other person being subjected to our nonsense over here is Tin.
Hi.
Hello. Thank you for being here with us.
I'm glad to be here.
I don't know that the three of us are the biggest farming game fans on the site, but I think we probably are.
Mm-hmm.
We're close.
Well, there's another one. Well, although I'm not sure if Tom plays a lot of farming games or just Stardew.
That's true.
Yeah.
I know Tom is big on Stardew, but Tom, when we started planning this, Tom was on break from the site.
Is Stardew a recent thing for him?
Maybe, but either way, yes, that's true. Tom is a big fan of Stardew.
Well, I would give to rediscover Stardew. That's a great feeling.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I keep making new farms.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually playing, not really in preparation for this, but more just because I haven't played in a while. So I just loaded up two of my farms the other day and played a day. And I played a day on my main farm where it's just work all day, because that's just the life I've created for myself in that game. It's I became rich, but that means I go from tending two different farms and animals and all these things from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And it's actually sort of exhausting.
No work-life balance.
I know. That farmer doesn't have a work-life balance anymore. She just runs around. I need to do something. I don't even have crops on my main farm anymore. I only do animals.
Oh, wow.
But I don't know. Yeah, I got to find some balance in that one. So to give myself a break, I went to my newest farm because I started a farm on the what's it called? Four Corners, one of the slightly newer layouts.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun. And just to draw a real distinction between the two, I have one where she's a millionaire and works all day long, and my other farm literally wears a trash can lid for a hat, because I found it in the trash. And I'm like, that's about as casual as I can get. I'm actually a little jealous. I have not found that hat on my main farm yet. It's only on this one.
I never had that hat as well. Is it a recent update or something?
I think, yeah, I think it's in maybe the 1.5 or one of more recent patches, which even though I say recent, but even that patch is 2 years old now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think so. And last I checked, I think you only get it from digging in the trash. So it's just a random drop from trash cans. I like the idea of that though. That sometime at some point your farmer just digs through and is like, well, I didn't find anything.
This lid.
I'm just going to take the lid and wear it. Yeah. This is a good look.
I need something from this trash can.
Right. I didn't find a cookie, so this is what I'm doing.
It's a rare find.
I don't know. I mean, when you're early on in that game, sometimes you can actually make some okay money digging in the trash. When you find a fish that sells for a decent amount.
I often get caught digging the trash, though.
You got to be sneaky.
Yeah.
Or at least let someone that you don't care about see you. If Alex catches me digging in the trash, I'm like, yeah, I don't like you anyway. So it doesn't bother me if he thinks less of me. Well, this is just the Stardew episode now.
I mean, but now is the time to discuss Stardew.
I guess. I mean, yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Speaking of Tom, he did recently suggest we do a retro encounter on Stardew one day. And so I was like, obviously I have some pent up I want to talk about this game some more. It's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, actually the upcoming update too.
Mhm.
Do you know something I don't? Because I know he posted something a few days ago, but I don't know if there's been anything else. Like he posted there's a new chest.
Yeah, I did see that. But that's the last thing I saw.
I'm very curious, and I don't want to like set myself up for disappointment, but him talking about like being in like his self-imposed crunch mode, I was like, are you trying to get this out before the holidays? Because if so,
Yeah,
don't work too
probably
hard.
a surprise.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm very excited though.
Those updates are really something. So I'm sure it'll be likely to exceed expectations and have more to it than.
Oh, it always does.
Yeah.
He's like, when he first started talking, it's like, yeah, I'm doing this 1.6 update. It's going to be very small, like not like the last one. And then like every time it's like, well, also it's going to have all these things and a new festival and this and that. I'm like,
Then you'll see some camels and bears.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, more than one bear? I think I missed that update. I only know about Trash Bear.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what is Trash Bear?
I know. Where did he go? Or she, I guess. Anyway, yeah, I guess we could talk about some music too. So this does show that we all have feelings about farming games, though. Only one of our picks today is Stardew, though. I'm actually really happy with the lineup today. We got a really cool, diverse lineup of farming and sim games. So, I guess I should say I did it, but I broke everything up today into blocks vaguely of seasons, although the last one is not really a season, but we're just going to go with it. Okay. So I thought that for those of us in some parts of the world, it is in the middle of, or it's about to be winter. So I figured just to mess with expectations, instead of starting with spring like all these games do, we're going to start with winter today. So we have 2 winter songs, and Tin, actually, you're starting us off with your first winter song. So what do we have first?
Mine is Quiet Winter by Nakajima. I'm not sure if I pronounced it that right. And it's from Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life, the original.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. And then after that, I have Winter Nocturne of Ice from Stardew Valley Piano Collections. So let's go check out A Wonderful Life and Stardew Valley, and we will be back in a few minutes.
I picked this song from I also played the original Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life, and recently, just this year as well, the remake came out, and I played it as well. And the original, comparing it to the original and comparing it to the remake one, it's pretty much the same. But I guess I just like the tune of the original more, so that's the one I brought here in the podcast. So, yeah, I like this song a lot because it's also music usually for winter is pretty calming, and it sounds also. I don't know how they make those tunes when you just know that the song sounds cold. But
yeah, I know.
Yeah,
it's weird to explain, but yes, I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, I know we kind of talked about this on the previous episode, kind of with different elements. Like, I think it's true of sort of like seasons as well, that certain musical timbers or certain kind of sounds
or certain instruments
or certain instruments represent kind of some of those feelings. And this one kind of had a harp part, I think so, which does kind of make me think of winter.
Yeah, I definitely could hear some strings on this one. And yeah, at first it doesn't also sound too like lively, but then it's also a bit mellow in a way, but it's just really calm. And whenever I played during winter season, and usually in most farming games, winter season is like the season where there's like least work to do because there's no crops. There's like only focusing more on developing relationships in the game, or just taking care of your animals, or basically there's a lot more free time. So that also matches the same way as this song feels. And this song reminds me of those times when I'd play this game and it would just make me feel so relaxed, which is usually the case in most cozy games.
Yeah, I'm glad you used that word cozy, because that's definitely what I use to describe this song. I like it doesn't have that kind of quite as much of the like cold winter sound. Like, I noticed that the way they constructed that sort of harp part is that it plays on kind of some of the offbeats with the melody, which is not something you hear quite so much if someone's trying to sound like airy or mysterious in a song. So it kind of reminded me of like the cheerier parts of winter, like a fire or enjoying a warm drink. And it also reminded me, of like that fact that winter is the season in these games where there's less work to do. But also like that beginning musical phrase of this one almost sounded like a holiday carol to me. Like there's a little bit of a, I don't know, festiveness to it.
Oh, I could hear that. Yeah, I didn't pick up on that, but I can see what you mean.
I think the full effect is it's still a little bit cool, but also cozy.
Yeah, this is bad. I know I'm just going to reinforce my problem with work-life balance, but we're talking about like how there's less to do on the farm, and I'm like, in Stardew there's those winter seeds you can make, and I definitely like, as you're saying this,
what are you doing with your greenhouse?
Yes, as you're saying this, I'm thinking of the greenhouse, and I'm like, I'm not even like consciously thinking about it. I just getting the visual in my head of just filling all of my crop area in winter with all those winter mixed seeds, and how many little things you need to craft each little pack of 10 seeds. I'm like, oh yeah, I did that. And they make you no money, but I'm just like, I just want to have them there.
Maybe I was too focused on thinking that I'm still trying to make money in year one, and I still don't have a greenhouse or that much.
Yeah,
or I haven't unlocked it yet. So.
That's true. Unless you get way too into it, like some of us, you probably aren't going to have that greenhouse in year one to rely on. And that's okay. Everyone should play the way they want to.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this one, and this is, I think I've mentioned at some point, maybe on this show or somewhere else, that I really got into Harvest Moon on the Super Nintendo, and I played Harvest Moon 64, and then never again for some reason. Like when I was really young, I liked them, and then I just went through this phase where I didn't touch any of them until Stardew, and now I like all these kind of games again. So I'm really, I'm really
it's a huge gap.
I know, like I don't know really what went on in the Harvest Moon games in the meantime. I didn't play any Rune Factory, but I'm sure I would like them. So yeah, this one, this was all new to me, but I enjoy it a lot. It's, kind of like you guys both said, it's peaceful and it's chill, but in a very different way from the Stardew song that came after. It's comforting, and I even wrote down that it might make me want a hot chocolate. So it sounds like Hilary and I had similar notes, but I appreciate that it has a little bit of complexity, but not like too much, which is barely something worth vocalizing, I guess. But I think that's important for a song like this when you're trying to be cozy and relaxing, like to keep it sort of simple. But there's enough going on that it's still interesting, and it's not just overly basic or anything.
Right, and I think that's one of the big tricks with like a wintry theme is that a lot of those sorts of tracks are very still, very sparse. But if you go too far with that, they just repeat, or they're not engaging enough. They're not stimulating enough.
Yeah, like they can lose that sense that you're going for, that sparseness or coziness or whatever it is. So no, but I mean, I really enjoyed it. It's very, very peaceful. And hearing you talk about it and hearing this song is, I know I need to get back into them somewhere. But now there's so many Harvest Moon or Story of Seasons, it's hard to know where to jump in. So if you have a recommendation, whether that's you, Tin, or anyone listening, I'd be happy to hear it. You don't have to do it right now. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. But yeah, anyway, my point is I do enjoy how calm this song is and how it mostly keeps things simple. Much unlike what? Huh? Heart-pounding excitement? Okay. Sorry, we're looking at the track list here. Polishing the Tombstone? There's some weird track names on this album. That was great, right? That's a track name.
Let's have tea or something.
Yeah, let's have tea or something. I mostly brought up the track listing because I really wanted to draw the contrast between the very simple and calming sound of this song. And I'm going to link, in the post for this, we're going to link the albums and everything, but please look at the album art for this game. The soundtrack is called The Farm Story Wonderful Life, and it's this little house on a farm and a tree and the brightest, most intense, sparkling lens flare you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like J.J. Abrams would be jealous looking at this.
Why is it in front of the tree also?
I guess it's supposed to be the sun shining through the leaves.
Yeah, but is it reflect? Is it reflecting? Because it's not shining through the leaves. It's in front of it.
It's all I can see on the cover. I'm like, oh, there's a farmhouse back there, but mostly there's this sun trying to blind me.
It is the sun, descending on this farm or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's really...
it's like someone just was learning how to use Photoshop and just tried on the lens flare filter.
Yeah, I think it's multiple.
It's so sparkly.
There's there's a star brush, and then there's this lens flare and another kind of lens flare. I did something actually when I was learning Photoshop, and I don't want to say the year.
Oh, I think I know what this is.
No, it's not the egret with the lens flare.
Dang it! I love the egret with the lens flare.
No, but even back then, when I was just starting out, I'm like, yeah, this can go wrong, these lens flares, because they didn't have a lot of options in Photoshop. The lens flare was just what you had. But I did one where I was like, let me just see, maybe the answer is not to try to use one dramatic lens flare. And I put together this cheesy little collage, which is not worth looking at now, but it was just 12 lens flares layered with different blend modes. And the result was actually kind of interesting because it was not just a straight up lens flare on a bird's eye or anything. I'm gonna have to put the egret in the post for this, aren't I?
That's up to you.
All right. Well,
I'm just saying.
if I decide to do
great.
it, please check out the news post for this, and you might see an egret and one of my very first Photoshop creations. Anyway, how do we transition an egret to Stardew? Stardew has a lot of birds, but it doesn't have an egret.
It doesn't have an egret.
And it's ostriches.
That's true. It's ostriches now. Or it will.
Yeah. No, it does.
Yeah, it already does, huh?
Yeah.
I'm behind.
I have one on my farm. Anyway.
We need to get them for a co-op farm.
I don't have a good transition anyway. so here's some Stardew stuff. So yeah, I talked about it a little bit in the intro, but like my idea here was, at least in my song picks, was that I wanted to represent different seasons. Like really for all of us, but me personally, like I made sure that my 3 songs for the episode were all different. And then I didn't just go like triple winter songs or anything. But
I think all of us did that, actually.
Yeah, I know. It's
just
perfect.
kind of instinctively.
Mm-hmm. But, winter music in farm games are, well, in general, but, you're going to see it more in farm games and sim games. But, a lot of times the winter music contrasts pretty strongly with a lot of the other ones because of, like we talked about, like usually they're more sparse or, simple or calm or something like that. And I love this Piano Collections album for Stardew, and we've never featured it on the show, which surprised me because I always think that I've brought Stardew on this show a lot, and I really haven't, and never this album. But it's so nice. Stardew's winter music in general is basically pretty delicate and peaceful, but I think of it's 3, right? Like of the 3 main ones, like this one is the most. Like this one, it's the most delicate, and I think it lends itself the best to the piano rendition. Like it's the perfect instrument, I think, for this song.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, like I said, it's chill and it's sparse, but it's also it's comforting. At least I wrote that out, that it's comforting and cozy, although I think yours is a little more cozy, but whatever. Yeah. They go well together. It doesn't have to be the coziest to still be cozy.
Yeah. While listening to this as well, I did notice like there are like 2 melodies playing, and they just sound good together. Like I can imagine 2 people playing the piano, and I could also remember those times when I'd be playing Stardew, and which reminds me, like, if I'm actually not busy with my animals, it's also during winter time when I'd be working hard in the mines.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also adore piano tunes in general, like piano arrangements and various VGMs, and this is really nice. It's also my first time listening to this, and I'm glad you brought it in the show, because I was also like hesitating if like, should I bring more Stardew? It's like we brought so much Stardew recently already. So there's never enough. So yeah, this is a good recommendation.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I know we had it recently, but it just seems kind of silly to do this episode not have. We at least had to have one. So I'm glad. Well, I'm glad you liked it. I don't know if Hilary liked it. She might be about to say like, "Oh, that was terrible."
Stardew. No, I'm just kidding. I love the Stardew. I love the Stardew soundtrack, and I am also very much excited about these piano arrangements. I mean, this is an example of really artful arranging a very like fragile and delicate sounding song, I think, and managing to kind of maintain that same feel, but making it a little bit more dynamic at the same time. Like, I love the double notes at the beginning. I think there might be like a faint echo of them in the original, but they're really highlighted here.
Yeah.
And that really sounds like ice cracking, or like little icicles falling, maybe something. And I think the word that I used like throughout my notes, I think, was still, as opposed to cozy. And that can be kind of like comfortable and cozy too.
No, still's a good
stillness.
word. Yeah.
And I think there were some parts where the tempo might have even been a little bit slower than the original, which kind of contributed to that feeling. But then they also made it a little bit more dynamic at the end, with like the piano getting a little bit louder. without like going over the top or making it stop sounding wintry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm.
Like at around 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I think the piano does some embellishment and gets loud, and it just kind of seems like maybe a grand winter landscape instead of just, maybe just your farm. Maybe it's like the valley as a whole or something. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
But it all fits together really nicely, and I think it's an example of like really well done arrangement.
Well, that was a very enjoyable winter season.
Mm-hmm.
So, are we ready to get back to spring and start making some money? I mean, enjoying nature again. We get to one of your songs, Hilary.
Ah, yes.
Actually, we get to two of your songs.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's just how it worked out.
right.
You approved this order.
Right. I'm in charge of spring.
You're in charge of spring.
All right. So I love spring songs in farming games a lot, especially like the ones that are kind of meant to sound like early spring. So they're kind of cheerful, but still a little bit quiet.
Uh-huh.
So my first pick, which is not really an example of that, but still a very fun song, is the Springtown theme from Harvest Moon Save the Homeland. And then my second pick, which is also very springy, is Bird's Eye Brae Day from Harvestella.
Yay, Harvestella.
So Springtowns.
All right. Let's go listen to Springtown from Harvest Moon Save the Homeland and Bird's Eye Brae Daytime from Harvestella.
All right, let's start saving the homeland. So I think I mentioned this a while back when we were talking like farm games in general. Save the Homeland was my first Harvest Moon game, which Harvest Moon fans will tell you is an interesting choice. I think there are a lot of various thoughts about Save the Homeland. Some people love it, some people don't love it.
What was like, what's divisive or whatever about it as your first game?
Not just, well, probably one that it's like not exactly a standard Harvest Moon game. It's kind of one of those entries where they change the formula. And some people like that and some people didn't. But I thought it was very cute. I think I talked about the saga of Klazark the chicken. But I enjoyed it a lot. It's very cozy. It's a very pretty game. And I remember enjoying the soundtrack even back then. So when we started talking about farming game music, it was something I went back to pretty quickly. And this track is one of the ones that really stuck in my mind because it's one you hear a lot. It's kind of one of the main town themes that you hear early on because it's spring. And Manual of Errors is credited. And Manual of Errors is basically a collection of composers that has had several current and former members. And this is one of those soundtracks where people were not individually credited, and there isn't really an official soundtrack release to be able to point to. But I wanted it represented anyway. So the song itself, it just bounces between so many fun little parts. It's a little bit bouncy. It's a little bit like a dance in some sections. It has some slower sections. And I think that it just very much embodies kind of like bouncing along, going through a town on a nice day in the spring. And I think in my notes, I said because of this variation and kind of the relatively complex counterpoint, it kind of makes me think of like the Jane Austen countryside, where you could get a little dirty, helping do chores on your estate. But then, oh no, suddenly Mr. Bingley's calling on you personally with an invitation to a ball.
As he does.
Yeah. It's to me, it's that, I don't know, it's kind of a fun blend of like classy and farmy that I really like, which also makes it good for, town, because that's supposed to be like your city center and I guess your social center, which is particularly important both in Jane Austen, but both in this exact Harvest Moon game because you were trying to save the town. So there you go. I tied it all together.
You did. I don't want to go after that.
Go
My notes literally contain the word boppy, and you're here talking about Jane Austen and classic literature. But all right. You set the bar high sometimes.
That's what it reminded me of.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, my main takeaway here is just like I really like how bouncy and like warm the song is. It's a nice.
Warm is a good word.
It is. Like, I think sometimes you associate that more with like summer themes in these games because, well, summer. But I do appreciate a nice like warm, happy springtime song, and that is what this is. I don't have any Jane Austen references for you. just that I enjoyed the song, and yeah. See, it's also on my list of many Harvest Moon games that I missed, and I'm curious to check out.
I would play this one with you, and then we could stress together about whether we're going to save the homeland.
Oh no! So it's a high stress one.
I mean, it depends. Depends on what kind of route you're going for and how invested you are, I guess.
Well, I don't really get heavily invested in these games, so I'm sure I.
Okay, really.
All right. Well, that didn't last. Did you play this one, Tin?
Yeah, actually, I played this one as well, and I do understand when Hilary said, if you try this out and how stressed you would get, because I could vaguely remember that I didn't manage to save the homeland.
Oh no.
So yeah, I had to start a new game as well. But instead of starting a new game, I started playing something else. So
That's fair.
You're like, well, I tried.
So yeah,
I made my peace with this.
well, listening to this song, it really sounds very nostalgic. Like this game is, I don't even remember how old I was when I played this, but yeah, usually my older brother would also play Harvest Moon games, but this one, like when he saw me play, he was like, "Yeah, this is not the Harvest Moon I like." So
There you go. So that's a
Yeah.
demonstration of what I was talking about. Some people, you know, with this one, and that's fair.
compared to like the other Harvest Moons, I think this it's also a bit similar to Wonderful Life, where it just doesn't really focus on farming in general.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like you just really have to go through the story and do other things outside farming. So yeah. But speaking of the tunes of the music, similar to the Stardew music earlier, I also like the piano hits on this this music.
Mhm.
In compared to other farming games, when usually the spring music is like really cheerful, and I mean this is also cheerful, but this one has that mix of mellow as well. Like I also see the ballroom thing that Hilary was mentioning. Like I
Yeah.
can imagine seeing or rather hearing this and seeing someone dance to it than in a ballroom movie.
Yeah, or someone like strolling down a lane in a fancy dress or like something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like dancing waltz or something. Yeah. So yeah. This like similar as well to my winter music earlier. Like this is somewhat a different kind of spring music. It's also kind of unique on its own.
Yeah.
Well, it was a good choice then.
Oh, good.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's still pretty representative, but also a little bit unique.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. Before you talk about your Harvestella song, I'm just going to say what I always say, just to get it out of the way, because every time Harvestella appears on this podcast, I think I say the same thing. But I always check. Every time I check, I'm like, is this soundtrack available yet outside of Japan in digital form? And it is not. If you're in Japan or can navigate a Japanese website, you can buy digital versions on a bunch of different sites and even on iTunes. And that's it. There's no CD version that I know of, and I don't know of any way to buy a digital version if you just speak English. And that is very strange and sad to me.
It is. It's very
And
sad.
I don't want to, like, I'm not going to make this a downer, but it just like I feel like a lot of people that played this game like really enjoyed it.
Well, they specifically mentioned the soundtrack.
They mentioned the soundtrack. It was Go Shiina, who like people adore his other work. And, you know, it's a very notable composer, a very notable publisher. And it came out, you know, in that weird phase where Square was pushing out a big or small game like every like 6 or 7 days. So I feel like a lot of people may have passed over Harvestella, and I think that's kind of a shame.
I think this is generally accepted as one of the really good games to come out of that period. Or one of the best ones.
Yeah. So again, like I don't want to. It's less of me like complaining and more just like saying like, hey, like Square, like, can you make this happen? Like, what a weird way of releasing a soundtrack. Like that's. Nintendo is supposed to be the one who's bad, who's bad about releasing soundtracks. But like, I don't know of another recent notable Square game where it got like only digital or like a weird
it has
limited,
this strange limited access, right?
Like they love releasing like albums for anything they can, so it's very odd.
Well, hopefully it's in the pipeline.
I hope so.
I wonder what's the cost. Like, I also don't see any other reason why wouldn't they.
I don't know. You know, like I know there's weird situations like Xenoblade, where like Xenoblade, the definitive edition and 3 didn't get a soundtrack for a long time, and then Mitsuda's label released the soundtrack, not Nintendo. And I'm like,
So like
one, good for
licensing
you.
issue.
Yeah, good for you guys for having the rights to that to release it. But
yeah,
I don't
that's business wise.
Yeah.
It's got to be a good move.
I don't know. It must be some kind of weird licensing thing. I wish it was available for more people.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the theme of these songs that I picked, other than kind of spring, is I want people to be able to listen to them, but they're also not widely available.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, rant over. That went on longer than I intended.
You're fine.
Talk about your wonderful song.
So, yes, this is another very springy song, Bird's Eye Brae, Daytime. It's the main town theme, and you hear it early on in the game, and I remember catching snippets of it like during the demo.
Yeah.
And I thought it was very charming. I just remember it adding a lot to kind of exploring the environment. Like it just blended really well with the scenery. So I came back to it when I was searching for songs for this. I'm kind of sometimes a sucker for like little musical tricks, and I just love like the octave jumps at the beginning that sound kind of like birdsong.
Yeah.
Very, very cute. And then the melody and just kind of the way this song slowly builds, it almost reminds me of the beginning of Beauty and the Beast, kind of like someone stepping out into the countryside at the beginning of your day. Hopefully you don't have a chorus of townspeople talking about how odd you are. I'm picturing this without that, a little bit more chill, a little bit more nature oriented.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the sort of vibe I was getting. It's just kind of like sweeping, pretty countryside.
I know this isn't video game music, but you're making me want to do like a weird bonus episode where we have people come on and talk about what their theme would be if they were in a Disney movie. What would people sing about them? Like how the way people sing about Belle. I don't know. Anyway, no, I'm glad you brought this one. I enjoyed this a lot, and because it was released in this short span of like all these other games, I have not played this outside of the demo. Although the demo was pretty generous, so I can at least say I've played many hours of it already. But I really enjoy Harvestella and need to play more. But yeah, I almost wish that I had thought about this for our next episode so I could steal it, because there's room in the episode coming up after this for a town theme, and I haven't figured out what my town theme is for that episode.
You can't have Bird's Eye Brae. Sorry,
I can't have Bird's Eye Brae. It's a really great town theme, though,
which is also just a really good town name.
Yeah, it is. One of the three of us had to bring Harvestella on here. I think it's has some really great music and had to be here in some form. Yeah,
I mean, it's a really notable like farm-related game soundtrack.
Yeah, so I really like just how chill and relaxing this song is, and the seamless transitions between like the more lively parts and the quieter parts. And I think for a central town or a hub or whatever, like whatever your main place is that you're going to be in a lot, I think it's really important to have music that, it sort of conveys like a nice sense of home, but it still needs to be interesting, but also you don't want to be too repetitive, or, you don't want a really short loop. Like, that's gotta be a hard thing, I think about it a lot with things like Final Fantasy 14, where you have like every expansion, there's two new like big cities and stuff, and it's like you're gonna hear that music all the time. So it's like it must be so difficult to come up with a theme that's not gonna get on your nerves or just get old. And I think this one really captures that. Yeah,
I was sort of breaking down that transition because I noticed the same thing, and I like the use of kind of like tremolo strings over with the piano melodies. So it kind of like cuts some of the instruments out and has that kind of like, okay, here's a slightly quieter part, we're preparing to transition, and then the strings come in with the melody, the slightly more intense melody after that, so you get a slightly more intense part. I think that just adds a lot of like natural variation, so it's not like extreme, but it keeps momentum.
Yeah.
I actually haven't played Harvestella or even seen anyone play it yet, because I don't also want to spoil myself, and I wanted to experience it on my own. But oh, what you guys just said, like I had zero clue that this is like a town music as well, because I was wondering why is it called Bird's Eye Brae. So I didn't know there was the town name, and it actually fits the name. Like when Hilary mentioned earlier, like the first few tunes you would hear and the music, they do sound like birds. So it's really surprising. And when I was also looking at the song choices before we went recording here, I had no clue that Harvestella's soundtrack is really good. So I went on like one of the days I was working, I just listened to the entire soundtrack while
Oh,
working.
nice.
So, yeah, it was a pleasant surprise, and it compared to other farming RPG games like the Harvestella soundtrack, you can differentiate it from all the other farming games, and like the way it just sounds like it also sounds more like RPG to me. Like the strolling into different towns, and like specifically JRPG music. So yeah, I was really surprised, and it's just so good, and it's such a downer to hear that it's not widely available. I guess that's the reason why I also haven't heard this soundtrack.
Yeah, I mean, probably. Did you? I'm just curious. Did you listen on YouTube or where'd you listen?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. I gotta look again because, like, for a while there, like, because like I would buy this if you could.
I'm a little worried that our like example and kind of what we use to listen to it together, I'm worried that it's going to get pulled.
I mean, I think for a while there, Harvestella music was getting pulled because I could only find like 3 or 4 different tracks. So I guess maybe we shouldn't post a link and make it too publicized. But if there is a place to listen to more of it, that's great. Because, you know, Square Enix does like taking those down. But since it's not available, okay. Yeah, I want to check it out. So I think I had another thought in the middle of that, but I got too excited about the idea that you can actually listen to more than like those 3 songs I used to be able to find.
I mean, that is exciting.
It is. I mean, that's what it was. I wanted to say, like, to what Tin was saying, like, my understanding, because, you know, I've only played a little bit around the demo area, but my understanding is that it is more, I think it's more a JRPG with farming elements versus the other way around. Like, I feel like when they were announcing it, it looked like, oh, it's a farming, it looked more like, kind of like Rune Factory, where it's like part farming, part RPG, but I think it's more about the RPG. But that's okay. But that might explain why it has that kind of sound.
No, I'm just remembering the sassy unicorn.
Oh, yes, there is a sassy unicorn early on, isn't there?
That's the perfect blend of, you know, farm and RPG.
Yeah.
Sorry, you said you did buy it?
Yeah, I just bought it like when it went on sale.
Oh, nice.
On Amazon. Yeah, so yeah, but it's lined up.
Yeah, that's a good call. Like, and this is the last thing I'll say. Like, I'm not going to keep complaining about Square's weird like release calendar the last couple of years, but it is one of those games that I worry like might just kind of go away one day and not be available because they just like the smaller games like this one, and I don't know. It might not be, but I mean, we own it too, and I'm glad we do just for that reason, because it's one of those things they could just disappear one day.
Yeah,
hopefully not. But like you never know with these things.
I mean, I'm getting increasingly concerned about that kind of with like digital shops for older consoles closing, and you know, when the like the 3DS one closed, it's like, wow, that's a bunch of games that, and I get why they close it, because it costs money to keep those up, and maybe it's not worth it, but when the games aren't available otherwise, it's really a bummer. It is. And I mean, similar things, it's worth noting that similar things can happen with music.
Yeah.
Too. I mean, there are, since, you know, listening to music digitally and streaming specifically has become so much more popular, like that's actually become more of a concern, not just with game music, but game music too.
Yeah.
That it could just, you know, kind of blink in and out of existence.
I know. I mean, that's that's why I like. Well, I don't want to go too far down this, but like that's why I like here's a concept buying music,
or at least having the files. I don't know.
Yeah, like that's why I like getting stuff off of Bandcamp, and especially with RPGs. Like I still want the CDs or the Blu-rays. Anyway, summer. That's my transition there.
just announcing the season.
just announcing the season. I'm happy about this one. I'll talk about it a little bit more, but this is actually another one that is the soundtrack is available, but only in a very, very limited way. So I'm glad I stumbled across how to find it because I wanted to bring on a song and couldn't find out how to get it otherwise.
Yeah, you thought you were trapped with like the same 3 to 5 songs.
Yeah, so last year a game called Coral Island came out, and it released into like 1.0 this year. And there's like there's an official little, I think it's official little soundtrack on YouTube, and it's like 5 songs. And I'm like, that can't be it. There has to be a more substantial soundtrack, and there is with 178 songs. So anyway, point is, my next song is going to be Summer Day 4, the 4th summer day theme from Coral Island. And then after that, we have another song from Tin.
Yeah, my song is called New Life in the Desert. It's from My Time at Sandrock.
Nice. I really want to check that one out too. So let's go listen to Summer Day 4 from Coral Island and New Life in the Desert from My Time at Sandrock. I still have not heard a lot of Coral Island's music yet, in part because I got through some part of summer, maybe into fall, during early access, and then when 1.0 came out in October, they reset all your progress. So I haven't gone back to restart the game yet. But I adore the summer tracks, even though I haven't heard all of the game. The spring songs are nice, but really, really have good memories of my time in that game so far in the summertime. I think this one, they're all good, but like I think this one especially like really captures the summer vibe on an island, because Coral Island is not just a name; it actually is on an island called Coral Island. And it contrasts nicely with the spring tracks. It has this like warm sound. It's got you think those are ukuleles? Okay, good. I was like, I did pinpoint that right. Yeah, and it's so easy to just like picture like, cookouts on the beach or, anything like that. Like just like beachy, islandy activities in the sun. And, for me, I think one of Coral Island's biggest strengths is the setting itself.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote right when the game launched, I wrote a little preview. I haven't written anything else about the game for the site yet, but I think some of the very specific gameplay things I took a little bit of an issue with, just because it's like there are certain things that unlock exactly the same way they do in Stardew, like the mine and the way like there's a quest to make a furnace and all these little things are like that's a little similar, but outside of that, like overall, like it does not feel like the other games. I like that it has its identity. It really embraces its setting on this island, and like and maybe I should stop winging it here and go back to my notes. But like Stairway really committed to the fact that this is a tropical island with the themes, the musical themes, but also the themes of the game and the narrative and the people and the way they live. And I think the music was also given that same level of care and sense of place as well.
Yeah. And I didn't realize, well, I probably should have, but I didn't quite realize like how well their theme of kind of like cleaning up and preserving the environment, how well that actually ties in with the island theme, because it turns out that some of those ecosystems, I was reading about this today, are a good way to kind of get a pulse on climate change in general and kind of how it's affecting like the change. They're kind of like hotspots that a lot of the change starts from. And I think specifically like this article was about Hawaii and how there are a lot of species in trouble there and what they're doing for preservation. So it's interesting that there's like that aspect to it too. I have kind of a fuller appreciation knowing that. And musically, it definitely leans into the kind of island sound. I love how there's the whistling too. Those are my favorite things about this song. Just a little bit of whistling.
I similar to Mike, I also played Coral Island last year, but I don't remember most tracks. But I can definitely remember this summer track, and I'd also agree with what you said earlier that this farming game or cozy game, it does have its similarities like and with other games, but at the same time it also has its own character, and the setting really is actually the focus of of the game. And I do like that there's that option that it's not just going around in the beach and like having this tropical setting, but it's also like you also get to be underwater. So it's like a really good thing that they added and they focused on, because it's also a big chunk of the game as well. It was something new. And for the music, I do like that it sounds like something I would hear if I'd be in the island of in Moana or something. It does give that kind of feeling, and This one has a lot more strumming and in like a happy vibe thing, and it's I do like that it matches also with the song that I'm bringing like after this. So yeah, but it's just a different setting as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I can see that comparison.
Mm-hmm.
When the last time you played, was there a map under the water?
Oh no, that's the only. Yeah.
Yep.
It's
Okay.
the only thing. That was also my concern because I often get lost underwater.
Yeah. I mean, I think they did add it during early access. I hadn't gotten back to the game by the time they did, and now I got to restart. But
Same here.
yeah, I was playing that for months, and I was like, I just kept trying to mentally catalog like all the different paths under the water because there was no map. There was just a white screen.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was still fun though.
Yeah, but I actually didn't know as well that you had to start over in the full release. So I was also like a bit sad about it. I was like, oh no, I made a lot of progress there. But the good thing, I guess, is like I heard you can bring your money.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Oh, that's something.
I think it's just the money, but that's okay. At least it gives you a nice head start.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Like, on one hand, I wish that maybe it's not that big a deal because I didn't put that much time into it. Probably a couple dozen hours. But it's also kind of neat. Oh God, workaholic again. I know, but like, at least once you've played it, it's kind of gives you a new way to like approach it. Like when I start over, I'll be like, well, I know what I will be able to do. I know what I can build, and like like a good layout for crops and like just different things.
Well, and how fun's to do more of it sooner.
Yeah, and like at least I have a sense of who the characters are and who I like and all that. So
True.
So there is that. I mean, but again, like you're talking to someone that sometimes like thinks about redoing the layout on his farm and will spend a whole in-game day demolishing things and moving them around and be like, okay, that's how I'm going to do it. And then reloading my save so I don't waste the day and then doing it for real.
Yeah. At this time, it's you start all over. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, oh yes, we have a Sandrock theme.
Oh, right. Yeah, I'm bringing new life in the desert, and it's actually not far from the last song that played. It also has a lot of strumming and that you could hear in the background, and the only difference is that the one earlier it would automatically make you feel like you're in the beach, but this one is like you just get as soon as I heard it as well, you can. I'm not sure with you guys, but like I would automatically think that I'm in the desert and or like I'm in the country. That's because
yep. No, I did. Yeah,
that's the kind of vibe that I got from this song, and it's actually also not that complex in a sense. Like there are a lot of parts of it that are also just repeating, but in a good way. Like it doesn't sound too repetitive or too obvious in a sense. But yeah, it's pretty much what I'm getting from this music. Even the time when I was playing this game, because it's when you get here, it's literally desert. And at first, I was also wondering like how the heck am I gonna farm here?
So yeah, that's a fair concern.
Yeah,
it's not the most common setting to start one of these games off in, so I like that.
Yeah, but it worked. So there were ways to make it happen. So
did you play? Have you played both games in the series?
I did try the first one, the Porsche, right? But I actually didn't play it that long. I played this one, the Sandrock, a lot longer than the first game.
Okay.
Interesting.
That's encouraging.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would also say that this is a lot similar to the first one, but this is like the devs really applied like all the issues or all the concerns of the players from the first game. So it's very much an upgraded kind of game.
Okay, yeah.
That's good. That's exactly what you want to see between games.
Mm-hmm. That was what I thought it was, but it's good to hear confirmation. Because I've been looking at my time at Porsche for so long, and it's always going on sale for like $7 or something really cheap. But now they have a sequel, so I'm like, should I play that one first? But it sounds like this is like just straight up better than the first one, just more refined.
You could just jump to the second one.
Okay.
And if you all don't mind me going back to the music for a little bit,
Yes.
Why are we talking about music? What do you think this is? Rhythm encounter?
Yes.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
that main instrument at the beginning, I mean, it's definitely a harmonica, and I think like, there's no way to get kind of a country feel faster than a harmonica, except maybe a banjo, but I think it's kind of a toss-up.
Either one, yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. And probably also this track is what inspired me to do the yeehaw.
Oh, no wonder.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think that kind of like strummy background feel is a good common thread musically in this block, so I really like that. But I also like how I think one of the ways this track kind of stays fresh, because it does have a kind of like a nice simple melody, is the way it passes between different instruments, and you get the brass coming in and out and supporting, but then dying down. I think it kind of like, one thing that I think a lot of this music aims to do, since it's a farming game, is to just kind of like give you that vibe of community or togetherness or something like that.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a town theme, just because, I mean, one of the core things about this game is that there's kind of like an inter-reliance, right? You have to sell your crops, you have to buy stuff to generate your crops, you have to interact in the community. So, I don't know. I think musically this song, I felt like represented that well.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Especially in a place like the desert.
Yeah.
That's actually like the main theme of the game. Like, everyone is just helping out each other and trying to save the desert as well. Much like the Save the Homeland.
I like that the instrumentation, I mean, I'm glad you specifically pointed out the harmonica, but it does have this sort of like Western or country vibe to it, which of course, works given the game setting and all that. But I like that it has that, but it doesn't. I mean, I only listened to this song. I haven't listened to the whole soundtrack, but I like that it has that sense, that, Western country vibe to it, but it doesn't lean too much on like, hey, this is the Wild West. Like it's not really obvious. Like,
it's not over the top.
No, like it has ideas and concepts and some instruments of that. So it like, you get that feeling without going like,
you have elements.
Thank you. That's the word I was looking for.
It's not like full spaghetti Western with like, with like whistling and like. Yes.
Which is nothing wrong with that.
No, that can be very fun.
That can be our West of Loathing episode coming up. I don't know if we can justify an episode just for that, but oh my God, the music in those games.
I still want to do an episode. I'm sorry.
What?
I still want to do an episode about like odd genre and instrument pairings in video games, just so I can bring the disco banjo song from West of Loathing on the show. Anyway.
But yeah, no. So that's what I think is really neat about it, is that they didn't go all the way in that direction. It just has elements of it, and then there's something else, and I was thinking about it, I can't quite put my finger on what the other part is. Like, there's, I don't know if it's the instruments or a sound or something in this sort of gives me vibes of like Dark Cloud 2, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like the kind of like cozy hometownness or like some of the twangy. There's something in it that makes me think of that, and like there's a Dark Cloud 2 like has a lot of like really like cozy, like the town themes in like the forest. Like there's a lot of like, it's very comforting, a lot of comforting music in that game. So I don't know, it's a weird thing. I don't really like coming on here and be like, there's something there, but I can't figure out what it is. But that's what I'm saying for this one. And I like that. Like I said, I like that it's not all just expected Western-y kind of themes. But yeah, I guess I need to check out the game and listen to more of the music. So, because it's in, it's like full release now, or is it in early access? Okay.
I think it is I do see it, what you meant with Dark Cloud. I think it's the similar thing with the tunes that they have is that they don't sound too like there's not much going on like in the instruments and in the music. Like they have simple melodies that just work. I think that's also like the same thing in the music in Dark Cloud. Like a lot of the songs there are also repetitive, but it's not that obvious, but it just works. I guess that's how.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's like the simplicity of some of the songs too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, that's that. I really didn't plan that. Speaking of simplicity, our next block here, I'm going to talk about Littlewood, which is kind of pushing it in terms of calling it a farming game. It's definitely a cozy sim game, but there's some farming, so it fits with the other games. So I am bringing Starry and Calm. It's a nighttime theme from Littlewood, and we have Hilary's final track today too.
Yeah, we are getting some Rune Factory in
Yay.
here with Rune Factory Frontier. I picked the Whale Island Outside theme. And I think we were calling this, I guess, Calm is a season now.
Calm or chill, yeah.
Or chill. Oh, yeah. Chill is a season now.
Yep. Winter, spring, summer, and chill.
Which I think is fair because we just recently did autumn themes.
Yeah.
But also it's a way better fifth season than the one in the N.K. Jemisin book or in Harvestella.
Oh yeah, the fifth season of death, basically. Yeah. I don't want a season of death in here.
This is a much better new season.
Yes. All right, let's go listen to Starry and Calm, which would not play in the season of death, from Littlewood and Whale Island Outside from Rune Factory Frontier. So Littlewood has such a cute little soundtrack. I mean, everything about Littlewood is cute and little for obvious reasons, but I don't know if this makes sense at all. Like, please tell me if I'm just like really, really reaching here, but because I did put a lot of time into this game, but I feel like if it makes sense, the sound kind of has a similar feel to the visuals. The visuals are retro and cute, and they're a little bit simple. Like, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Like the visuals or the sound is it's very straightforward. It portrays this nice evening atmosphere, but without fluff or really complex notes. It's a very simple little song. I've never actually called a song straightforward before, but it kind of seems like a good word for it. And I appreciate that. Like the sprites in Littlewood are just tiny, tiny things with like little dots for eyes, and everything looks like a little like miniature town. And I appreciate that they committed to that look visually. Everything is very like just there's just enough pixels to illustrate what each thing is. And I think the music kind of works with that too. Like it's not overly complex and it works. Like if they had done the visuals and the gameplay and the way that Littlewood is set up, and then for some reason gave it like an orchestrated soundtrack, I don't think it would jive. I think this is the kind of sound that fits really nicely with the game. But yeah, that's my take. I think it's a very cute, calming nighttime theme, and I enjoy it.
Yeah. While listening to this, it does also like similar to the song in the winter picks. This one also has that sense of stillness as well, and it's pretty nice. And like I also like when it goes around like 1 minute mark. There's that added tunes that are echoing in the background, so it also adds to more chill to that kind of feeling.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because I had something like the echo, because I had something.
Yeah.
I think one thing that like differentiated some of these like colder or like more wintry songs in early games, and I agree with what you said, Mike, about how this is an example of how to create, I think, kind of like a little bit more kind of like retro game sounding soundtrack that's still effective and hits the emotional and tonal notes that you want to go with the game. And I think one trick kind of with a lot of those wintry songs is adding kind of some reverb or echoiness. And I heard that in the lower register of the song that helped it. I think it helped it sound very dreamy. And I think it's a little, I would almost make a case for pairing this with Nocturne of Ice. Although this is probably not specifically a winter theme, just because this is definitely like a nighttime theme. And the term nocturne, actually like it's supposed to portray night. So like still, quiet, calm.
Well, yes, but we had two winter themes. I had to pair the winter themes. But no, I see what you're saying. I guess I do have a vibe that I tend to go to sometimes on these shows, but me too. I love my nocturne like peaceful songs. Yeah. I grabbed my Switch while you were talking there because I meant to do this before because I wanted to see. I forgot how much time I put into Littlewood. It's really not a huge game. I think I did almost everything there was to do. Did you play it at all, Tin?
Oh, I haven't, but I did buy it previously during the autumn sale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I just had to grab it because it was like just $1.
Really? Oh wow.
$1 or $2 in my area, so
nice.
In my region, yeah. So
no, I really enjoyed it. It was I backed it on Kickstarter, so I got it when it came out.
Oh.
And it's pretty simple. Like it's nothing in the game is overly complicated, but it just like even like little achievements and all that, like it doesn't take a whole lot to get to them. So I think it's one of those games if you want to play a farming or a sim game, but you want to like really feel like you're making progress, or like that sense of satisfaction of like, oh, like I built, you know, a new house for this person or whatever. It gets that, but it's like in really like condensed format. It's really cute.
You weren't a hard worker on here, too, huh?
I mean, yes, maybe that's why I think it's simple and straightforward, but I don't know. No, I mean I don't know if you played it at all, or anyone listening. You know, I'm not sure how well known the game is, but the concept behind it is actually kind of fun because it takes place after, like, narratively, what is basically an RPG. Like, you play as someone who used to be a hero after the world was saved. And now there's like peace, and you just have this town, and you build up and meet all these different people and build each person like the kind of house and setting that they would like.
Yeah, and you
decorate it certain ways.
And you have to live your life.
Yeah.
No,
good for you.
It's town building.
Yeah, it's town building. We did a feature many years ago on the site. It is still up, or it is up again, and it was about like, you know, dream sequels and like made up sequels and prequels and stuff. And my thing at the time, whatever, I think it was 2010 or something, was to do a sequel to Final Fantasy VI, but have it be a farm or sim game.
Wow.
For the same reason, because like it's like, well, the world's kind of not in a good place.
It's a good place for one.
Yeah, I was gonna swear, but didn't want to cover it up later.
What is it that one townsperson says about South Figaro?
Oh, I don't know.
Like, if it gets destroyed, what, 99 times, we'll rebuild it 100 times or something like that. That might be an exaggeration, but
okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, so like I had this like weird idea of like, let's do a follow-up to 6, but just have it about like rebuilding the world, and you know, there would be a farming element and a town building element. So it's kind of funny, like this game would come out like, you know, 10 plus years later, and it's like, yeah, that's what these people are doing. So I thought it was pretty cute.
I mean, the way 6 has characters with very different skill sets would also like fit in with that, because certain characters would be able to do certain actions, like maybe Locke would be in charge of your money.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Actually, maybe
I
not.
put some yeah, maybe not Locke. Maybe not Edgar
I'm
either.
seeing it.
Yeah. I don't know. I put some thought into that one, and like I'm not trying to like be one of those people like, you know, reliving my glory days when I wrote this cool like 3-paragraph thing in 2010. But I am proud of that one. I really, it's one of those things like I would love to actually play that. So I mean, other people had great ideas too, but obviously I remember mine the most.
I mean, you had a good idea that you're proud of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, none of that is about Rune Factory Frontier though, so you can probably talk about your song next.
Oh, okay. Rune Factory Frontier does not involve rebuilding after a catastrophe, but there is a kind of ominous, like, whale-shaped island in the sky, and Rune Factory more broadly does kind of have that RPG-like plot, right? Where, like, there's some sort of threat or something going on, so you have to balance your time between going to the different areas, temples, things like that, whatever, and doing all. It's sort of like Stardew-ish, but it's not just a mine. There are like different areas that you can go to. I think Rune Factory Frontier has 4, and the Whale Island is the last one that you go to. And it's neat because at least in Frontier, you can, like, stuff you can collect in the dungeons kind of goes along with the different seasons or like the different sections of the game that you're in. Okay. So it helps you do your farming, and it kind of helps with the other aspect of the game as well. But yes, I picked the Whale Island outside theme because I wanted to talk about that and wanted to talk about this kind of like subset of farming sim kind of games that do have that adventuring element. And I figured this was good for that because it is kind of like a last area, and it is a little bit more mysterious. So I hope you all enjoyed it. I really liked the beat on this one, and I thought I found it pretty irresistible with little upward trills. And I thought it was cool the way they blended kind of some less natural sounding kind of sounds in with the song, so it still kind of sounded like it could be a natural place. Like it didn't sound totally out of place with the nature theme that we see in so many of these games. And I think like the only thing that really kind of flagged this to me as like a dungeon or like, you know, maybe less like a farming sim was there's a pulse of bass notes that's kind of discordant from the rest of the song that goes in like somewhere in the middle of the song.
Okay.
So I don't know. I think it just showed off something a little different.
It did. You know, like I said earlier, like I have not played the Rune Factory games, although I'm sure there's something I would like. But, you know, at the risk of stating the obvious, you know, I like that this has a sound of more of an adventuring or JRPG, you know, field theme. I actually, not a particular song, but there's parts of this that kind of make me think of Xenoblade. Like some of the field themes in Xenoblade. It sort of has that kind of vibe to it.
Well, that's the whole thing with Xenoblade's music is kind of like this interplay between the technical and the natural. So that's kind of cool that you got the same sort of feel.
I also haven't played any of the Rune Factory games, and when I first listened to this, it has that like techno or like electrons feel that because of the first part of the song is that there's that I can actually hear the like whale sounds.
Yeah, there's some odd kind of sounds in the background, and they just have kind of like an electronic feel to it
and they just tweaked it, and it's actually nice. It's like like what you said, it does sound mysterious, but then it sounds really good. So
glad you liked it.
Are you laughing because you said actually nice? I think she was trying to say it's like well, I had some thoughts too. Like there's like some unexpected, or maybe you could say them as weird sounds, but that doesn't mean bad.
right. No, that's exactly it.
Okay, yeah. No, it's very interesting.
It all comes together.
Yeah.
Weird in general is nice for me. I like weird things.
Oh yeah, we do too.
I think the song comes together way better than maybe some other aspects of the game, and I won't go too much into the roller coaster that are the townspeople in this game. Okay. It's very anime, and some of it has aged poorly.
Oh no.
But there are also some really cool NPCs. Like I deeply identify with the lady who wants to run the spa.
Okay.
And like have hot tubs and like natural hot springs. But then also just wears a wizard hat because she also just like really likes wizards and wants to be a wizard.
Okay.
In a spa.
Yeah.
All right. Why not?
Or just like she runs the spa, but yeah, she also wants to be a wizard.
She's like, I don't have to be one thing.
Exactly.
I can have multiple interests.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Or the librarian who, you know, was very absorbed in books and has to be reminded to like interact with the outside world.
Yeah.
You know, there's some very, very, like, relatable NPCs, but then there are some ones that, you know, their entire life is going on a diet for you if you tell them you like slim girls, so...
Yeah, that part is very unfortunate.
Yep.
But I like the spa thing.
Yes. And I know I just said I wouldn't go through this roller coaster, but I guess I did anyway.
Just a little bit. Actually, you know what I like about the lady who wants to run the spa but also wears a wizard hat is that a lot of sometimes the NPCs in these games, like whether it's townspeople or actually like dateable ones, are for better or worse, like sometimes they're one note.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, this is the one thing I like in life and that's all that matters. And it's like, you know, it's kind of there for gameplay purposes, so you understand like, well, this is what they're into, so you can kind of figure out what they want. But you know, it also means like, well, they sometimes they're not always well-rounded, so she seems pretty well-rounded.
What is she wearing though?
Oh,
if she's wearing like clothing.
She looks pretty like witchy.
Okay, so it's her whole outfit.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Okay, I'm gonna.
Well, we'll look it up.
Yes, we will get some visual references.
You know, it took until track 8 to remember, or for me to remember, that I was going to look up Innocent Life and see if there was a song to bring on here, just to be really weird in terms of Harvest Moon spinoffs.
Oh.
And I totally forgot. I never played it, so like maybe it wouldn't have been in my top 3 anyway. But I'm surprised Innocent Life never became anything. Like it didn't become another sub-series. I don't know if you guys played that at all.
Oh, it's the one I didn't play.
But you know what it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why I didn't play it. I'm like, I like farming stuff and sci-fi stuff.
Well, you took that long break of not playing any.
I know, that was the problem. It came out in that break. So, are we still looking at the wizard?
Yes.
Melody. Oh yeah, she just looks like a witch.
Yep.
Or wizard.
Was she introduced as a witch first or as someone who runs the spa?
I'm pretty sure she does not get introduced as a witch.
Okay.
She's dressed as a wizard, which is strange for most of the citizens. They don't even know why. All right.
Why?
I haven't even played this game, and she's my favorite.
She's just like, this is my aesthetic.
Yeah. All right.
I love it. She's unpredictable.
Yeah. On one hand, I don't want to go too far on a tangent because we should probably wrap up this episode. But on the other, I also wanted to like have a brief moment of like if there was any other, not really for music reasons, but just any other farming game anyone wanted to mention for no good reason. But I think we've talked about a bunch during this episode, so maybe we don't need to do that.
And we're not going to just spend the time talking about our preferred Stardew partners.
Well, now that you brought it up. You can go first. Yeah, let's do that. That's our little side comment, and then we'll do the housekeeping stuff.
Are you sure?
Yeah, why
I was
not?
joking. All right. You on our co-op farm.
What? No. I am not an NPC.
But no, you're not. But also Maru.
Yeah, Maru is awesome.
Although I'm very concerned about how she gets food out of her pile of like invention stuff and scrap metal and.
Is that when you marry her? Is that what it is?
That is something that can happen.
She'll be
in
I
the
found this
workshop.
cookie.
She'll be like, "Here's a plate of fried mushrooms." You're like, did you fry those with high voltage, like with some high voltage electrical setup, or what? How?
I appreciate that her favorite gifts are like, things like gold bars and also strawberries.
Yep.
Who are your favorites, Tin?
I wasn't really. I was one of those players who tried to please everyone in the village.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I was trying to make friends with everyone and trying to get close to everyone. Well, except for Shane, because he was just
yeah.
He was just really snobby. So
yeah.
I was like, okay, you're like that, so I won't bother. So yeah.
I think my favorite thing, like one of my favorite Stardew related memes, because Shane like he's so gruff and like just intentionally kind of antagonizes you at first. Like one of my favorite things is this silly drawing meme where it has this description of one of his requests, which is like, I need carp to bring to book club, and someone's just like illustrated it and it's like Shane's book club, and it's just like this drawing of him sitting in a chair holding the carp under one arm like he's reading a story to the carp.
That's pretty good. I forgot. I always forget about that request outside of that image, right? Because I'm like, I kind of wish that was something you saw in the game. I would love, because you can see the women doing their aerobics class. Like, it's too bad you can't like walk in and like see. I want to know who's in that book club with Shane.
I would go to book club. Like, I would want some like heart event to happen at book club. I don't know.
And I mean, unless there is, like, I've seen all like the friendship heart of scenes, I think, but not like the higher level dating ones for every character.
Mm-hmm.
Fair point.
So I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I really don't know how it goes dating Shane, but I do have like a lot of other friends, like also girls who played the game and also likes Shane, and I'm questioning their choice.
Well,
why guys like difficult men?
It's an age-old question. I mean, have you done like at least like the full like events and stuff like as a friend, like the 8 Heart or whatever with him?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think it comes together. Like it really is like,
Yeah.
he's just he's depressed.
Yeah.
He's depressed, but unfortunately he takes it out on people. But I like where it eventually goes, and it's like, okay, well, I can't really be too mad at him. I wish he wasn't such a jerk, but like you kind of get why later on. But I still don't want to date him. I just want his blue chickens.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think the thing that saves it for me is like his kind of realization of the effect that he's having on others seems genuine, and he honestly tries to change it.
Yeah,
true.
I can appreciate that, but
yeah. Anyway, my pick is, as I've learned, I guess the most obvious one is Abigail, but whatever. I like Abigail. She has a Super Nintendo, and she likes eating quartz and giving. And I never know when I wake up in the morning if she's going to give me like a plate of food or a bomb. And I don't know. It keeps things interesting.
Yeah, I remember the quartz thing.
It's so good. Like, oh, delicious. I'm like, all right, you do you. All right. I guess we should wrap up here. So as usual, I'm going to mention the games that made their debut in this episode, which is basically everything except for Stardew Valley. Most games on this episode have never been on the show before. So this was the first time hearing from Coral Island, Harvest Moon, both A Wonderful Life and Save the Homeland. First time for my time at Sandrock and Littlewood and Rune Factory Frontier. We've never actually had any Rune Factory.
Oh,
so I'm glad you brought that one.
Well, this episode was necessary then. I like that.
Yeah. So yeah, lots of debuts, even though Innocent Life is not among them. But coming up next on Rhythm Encounter is an episode. Hilary, you had this episode a while ago, like early this year, I think.
Oh, you mean like kind of the idea
like
for
just
it?
the concept.
Yeah.
A build your own RPG. So there's going to be 4 of us, and we basically broke down an RPG into like 8, central themes that all RPGs should have. So you have an overworld, a town, a boss, stuff like that. And each of us is picking 2 songs, and we're basically going to like smash them all together and pretend they're in a single game. And I'm really excited for it. I've seen some of the tracks now, and we've talked about how the concept is going to work, and I think it's a great way to that'll be our first episode for next year. And yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun how people are justify like how this fits with this. But
yeah, I'm hoping we'll get some like fun discussion around like, yes, this is the type of town it is, and then we're going here, and this is what this place is like.
Yeah, well, you know how RPGs are. You can have a desert town, and then somehow, like a mile away, you're in winter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
there's some big mountains that solves it.
Yes. Always mountains just break up all these like different climates and climates. Yeah. So Build Your Own RPG is coming next. After that, we're doing Music of the Year. I'm pretty sure that will be the one right after. Or it will be a compilation of Final Fantasy VII. So we want to do basically anything from these series of Final Fantasy VII, since Rebirth is coming out fairly soon. So those are our next 3. If you have feedback on this episode, thoughts on topics, or anything else, you can reach us at music@rpgfan.com. We'd love to hear from you. If people want to reach you, Hilary, what is the best way?
RPG fan email. I'm HilaryA@rpgfan.com.
Okay. And how about you, Tin?
You can just find me on the Discord server, and I'm just named Tin there.
Very easy.
Yeah.
All right. If you enjoyed this episode of Rhythm Encounter, be sure to also check out RPG Fan's other podcasts, Random Encounter and Retro Encounter. Random Encounter is our bi-weekly show about what's new in the RPG world, and specifically on RPG Fan. I think right after this episode, the plan is for Random Encounter to do an episode on our most anticipated of 2024 feature, which I don't think that's a spoiler because we've been doing that feature for like 20 years, but that will be posting pretty soon on the site. So we're going to be having a bunch of people talk about that and what they're looking forward to next year. So on Retro Encounter will have just finished their Dragon Age game journal, and they're doing an episode on Lunar the Silver Star, because this month actually marks the 30th anniversary, unless I got my math wrong, of the original Lunar game. And they're also going to do their annual Retro Encounter year in review. So be sure to check those out, and everything else on Retro Encounter. Retro Encounter posts every week around Thursday, and that is episode 3? Is that 396? I think it's 396, 90. Yeah, Lunar is 396. So they're very close to episode 400, which is a huge milestone.
Wow.
Solosi has a really, really fun idea for 400, and I can't wait to see people listen. Whatever, to see what people think of that episode. I think it's going to be a really good time. If you want to follow us on social media, you can find us on most platforms at RPGFan.com. So that's on Facebook, Twitter. I'm still calling it Twitter. Instagram, Twitch. We have a Discord. You can find all those links on our site, rpgfan.com. I do have to really make one more big push for the year for our shop. So our shop at RPG Fan is rpgfan.com/shop. And by the time this episode goes up, we'll actually have a new shop page. But there's two things I want to point out on the shop page is that one, our merch shop at TeePublic, we have some artwork called Transitions, which is a bunch of all of our RPG Fan logos. You can get it on a t-shirt, mug, stuff like that. But because it's something for our 25th anniversary, we are only selling that merch through the end of the year. So if you want something with that design on it, there's very little time left. I encourage you to check that out. If you want, I've seen people with the shirt and some other merch with the design, and it turned out pretty well. I mean, I didn't personally print it, so I think I'm allowed to say yes, it's good. But yeah, be sure to check that out. The other thing on our shop page is we have just released a first book, which is a really weird thing I never thought I'd be saying. The RPG Fan Review Card Collection. So it's a printed book of about 300 of our review cards, if you've ever seen them on Instagram. So like micro versions of our reviews in book form. It's very exciting. I'm really happy that has come out. So again, you can access both of those things because you buy them from different places. But they're both collected at rpgfan.com/shop. So definitely go check that out. Lastly, if you enjoyed this show, be sure to review us and subscribe on Apple Podcasts and, well, sometimes I say Google Podcasts, but I recently learned that Google Podcasts is being closed because it's a Google product. So you might see the show on YouTube when this goes live. If not, well, it will be in the future. So that's where it's going. So check us out on YouTube and Apple Podcasts or wherever it is you listen to podcasts. Boy, I don't think I've taken a breath for the last 5 minutes. So yes, that's all of my stuff. We have one more track to close out the episode as our bonus track, and that is from Tin. So what is our very last farming track today, Tin?
Yeah, I brought a very classic farming music from a very classic farming series. My track is called Festival 1. And it's called Fun, and and it's from the Harvest Moon Back to Nature.
And that's a pretty early one, right? I mean, it was PS1, right? Yeah.
Yes.
I'm very. I need to look up the soundtrack if this one got a soundtrack. I'm very entertained that they specified that this festival is fun.
Right,
it's fun.
Is there like a sad festival theme? Because I'm very confused.
It was fun because I first heard this music in the first cooking festival where you drop in some random ingredients in a big pot, and everyone would end up liking the food served. But even though you can just throw in some random poisonous mushroom or whatever, it'll still end up fun,
Nice. I poisoned the whole town. That was fun. Oh dear.
Yeah. Hey, that could be Kefka's role in the except you defeated him in the Final Fantasy VI.
There's no place for Kefka in Final Fantasy VI 2. All right. Well, all right. Let us close out by listening to Festival 1 Fun from Harvest Moon Back to Nature. Thank you both for being here. I also had a lot of fun on this episode. Tin, you are welcome back anytime. I mean, Hilary, you obviously are always welcome back. In fact, we'll probably see you in the next couple episodes.
Yay!
All right.
Yay!
So let's go. Let's go listen. Thanks again. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thank you.
Again, rpgfan.com/shop. Check out our new stuff. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Here's some music.
Bye.
Enjoy the fun.
Let's talk about Littlewood. Oh, maybe I should get a sip of the water that I just got. You mean it doesn't hydrate me just sitting there?
No.
No. All right. Here we go.